Welcome back. This is Chartbusters. Individual stocks buzzing around as we speak. Interglobe Aviation is at the high point of the day. Along with that, we have India Cements as well as DLF, both of them moving and making fresh highs of today's trading session as well. So those stocks are looking fairly good. A couple of these mid caps should come up for you on your screen. But also watch out for one stock which is on our radar. Karnataka Bank up about 8% this month. Remember the management making a speech to shareholders and uploading it on the exchanges saying that they recorded a record advances growth of close to 28.5-29% in this fiscal or the fiscal gone by FY18, that is. So to detail that further, we are joined by Mr. Mahabaleshwara MS, the MD and CEO of the company. Thanks a lot, sir, for joining in. Good morning. You said that you've shown a 28.5% growth in your advances. If you could tell us how exactly did you manage to do that? Given the current industry, we speak to a lot of these managements, they say that the credit growth in the system is not as high. So what is it that takes Karnataka Bank or makes them stand apart from your peers, your industry?
Yeah, we had a very exciting year where I could see a lot of accomplishments as well also. And of course, that was my first year into the office, and I'm also happy to share with you that today I'm stepping into my second year into the office of the MD and CEO of Karnataka Bank.
Lovely.
And yes, you were referring to the advances growth. We have been able to get a growth rate of around 28.54%. And the strategy was very simple. We have been focusing on the corporate, mid-corporate, and the retail. And that also by keeping in mind the asset quality. So the quality parameters were kept intact, and by focusing equally on all the sectors. In fact, I have been able to get a growth rate of around 14% in the MSME sector. And in the car loans, our growth rate was around 21%. And in the home loans, around 10%. And besides that, we have also selected some of the corporates with top-rated ratings. That is the external rating. So that strategy has paid off. Keeping that in mind, for the current year also, we have been aiming to have a credit growth of around 20% plus.
Okay, all right. Sir, first of all, congratulations on your first year in office, and the street is quite optimistic. So a lot of shareholders that we speak to, they're quite optimistic that maybe FY19, FY20, things can get better for Karnataka Bank. So on that optimistic note, sir, actually, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. First, what is your exposure to the NCLT cases? If you can tell us NCLT 1 and NCLT 2 as well, if you could give us a sense, and how much have you already provided for, sir?
Yeah, NCLT, as far as RBI referred cases are concerned, I have 4 accounts. And the total exposure is around 317 crores as of March. And of that, my provision itself is around 217 crores.
Okay.
So, and there is these NCLTs also. In some of the cases, there is a good security, and whatever the provision, the additional requirement is there, we will be providing in accordance with the regulator's requirement. And there are other 2-3 cases. These are not referred by in the RBI list. They are not in the RBI list, but there also the required provision is held. As far as NCLT is concerned, I am not feeling a great pressure. And these appear to be in the normal course of business.
All right, you're not feeling great pressure, Mr. Mahabaleshwara. That's a good that's a good sign. But we see a lot of these cases, and they are perhaps going for much higher value than what the street was expecting. So, is there a case of that 217 crore plus more provisions that you've made to be written back? Is there a possibility? How much of that could be written back?
Let us see what is there in store for us for the ensuing year. If the things turn positive, definitely we are going to.
What's the kind of haircut that you have priced in, Mr. Mahabaleshwara?
Haircut, this amounts to, as far as the NCLT cases are concerned, what I said is adequate provision is there. But there are some other accounts in the sense the consortium or the multiple banking related accounts. You may be aware of that RBI recent circular on the resolution of stressed assets, the revised framework. So that type of pressure would continue for the banking sector for the year 2017-18, and definitely there would be some asset classification related pressure as well as the provision related pressure one has to take, and that may affect as well as the net profit, that is the bottom line also. So keeping that in mind, I don't think the year 2017-18 would be a great year for any bank, and definitely Karnataka Bank will also not be an exception. But the plus point as far as our bank is concerned, the growth rate in the business, we have been able to accomplish about 18% plus growth in the business, and you have already noted that the credit growth has been around 28.54.
Right.
So that means we have prepared the ground well for a very exciting and promising new year, that is 2018-19.
All right, Mr. Mahabaleshwara, let's take that point forward then. As you said, because of the RBI circulars, there's going to be some pressure in FY18. But what about treatment of these pressures? Will Q4, the street is working that maybe in fact Q4 will be a bit of a dampener, not just for your bank, for a lot of banks. But then when does this pain get over, sir? Will there be treatment only in Q4? Will it be treated in some quarters going ahead as well?
Yeah, Q4 pressure will be very big for all the banks.
Exactly.
And definitely it is going to be eased out during Q1 and Q2 of the ensuing year, that is FY19.
Okay.
But the management always looks at it in a different way. I personally look at it as a great opportunity to strengthen the balance sheet. In the way we can definitely clean the books by proactively identifying some of the stressed assets and making some aggressive provision, and that is how we can strengthen the balance sheet. And definitely for a bank like Karnataka Bank, since our capital adequacy is good, we are not under the capital augmentation pressure. So these are the things I think which will weigh in our mind when we finalize our Q4 results of FY18.
All right, Mr. Mahabaleshwara, before we let you go, the last question from my end is it's a three-part question. When you joined, your slippages per quarter were closer to that 500 crore mark. The last quarter, you did about 210 crore. That's the third quarter of FY18. In the fourth quarter, directionally, if you can tell us if that number is lower than what you've done over the last 3 quarters. And secondly, you spoke about 20% plus loan growth in FY19. Would you require some more funds? What are your capital raising plans?
As far as the asset pressure is concerned, Q4 asset pressure will continue. I may not be able to quantify as of now, but definitely a turnaround is quite visible as far as FY19 is concerned. And that could be seen right from Q1 of FY19. I am very optimistic about that. As far as this capital is concerned, as of now, we are adequately capitalized. We are one of the few banks which are well capitalized. And to sustain this growth, because I am aiming for a growth rate of around 18% for the next year also. My ICAC and ICAP committees, they are meeting very shortly. And with that, we see by and large, once in 2 years or once in 3 years, we have been augmenting our capital. So we will take a look into that. We will also take a call as and when the need arises to augment the capital. As of now, I don't think we will be in need of capital as being observed in other banks.
All right. So very quickly before we let you go, growing your loan book is great news, but bad news is when accounts like the amount that you'll lend to Gitanjali Gems, when that doesn't come back, then in fact shareholders don't like it at all. Finally, sir, the big fear really is what is the exposure to the power sector? Because the fear is that FY19, FY20, that can come back to haunt you. So out of your total book, what is the exposure there? Are you getting nervous over there, sir? What kind of a recovery can you get from there?
Definitely not. See, in the sense, Gitanjali is one account which has been dealing with us since 1923. So an account which was with us for 25 years. So unfortunately, the promoters indulged in different type of business habit. And that had made us to treat it as fraud also. Otherwise, I don't think in our books we have noticed anything which would result into classify it as fraud. And as far as the power sector is concerned, I am not too much exposed. It is less than, the exposure is in triple digits, and it is very well within our credit policy.
As a percent of your book, how much would it be, sir?
Percentage-wise, it is, I think, maybe less than 1%. No, less than 2%.
Then no
around
tension.
2%.
Okay,
All right,
great.
no worries then. Thanks a lot, Mr. Mahabaleshwara, for joining in. And first again, once again, congratulations for completing 1 year. Wish you a good second year and more in the office. With that, we'll slip into a short break. Everest Cantor Cylinders is waiting by on the other side. Stay with us.